Admiral Krell stood on the command bridge of the Xylar warship Star Crusher, his massive frame imposing against the backdrop of stars. His exoskeleton gleamed in the ambient light, natural armor plates shifting with his breathing. The bridge crew, all Xylar warriors like himself, moved with practiced efficiency around him. Through the viewport, the vastness of space stretched before them, dotted with distant stars and the occasional flash of weapons fire as their fleet engaged in minor skirmishes with human vessels at the edges of the contested nebula. Status report. Krell's voice rumbled through the bridge, deep and commanding. His second-in-command, Commander Vex, approached. The human ships are retreating, Admiral. Minimal casualties on our side. They barely put up a fight. Krell's mouth twisted into what passed for a smile among the Xylar. As expected, these humans, so fragile, so weak. It's almost disappointing. They've sent another diplomatic transmission. Lyra, his science officer, reported from her station. Lyra was unusual among the Xylar, smaller than most, with a mind that preferred analysis over combat. Some whispered she had inherited too much of their ancestors' scholarly tendencies, making her less than a true warrior. But Krell valued her intellect, even if he would never admit it publicly. "Put on screen," Krell ordered, settling into his command chair. "Let's hear what pitiful offers they have this time." The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the face of a human diplomat. The being looked pathetically soft to Xylar eyes, no natural armor, exposed flesh, eyes without protective membranes, and a frame that could easily be snapped by even the weakest Xylar warrior. "Admiral Krell," the human began, voice steady despite what must be overwhelming fear. "The United Earth Federation once again extends an offer of ceasefire. We propose withdrawing from the Orpheus sector and establishing a demilitarized zone along the—" Krell waved dismissively, and the communication officer cut the transmission. "They offer us territory they've already lost," he said with a laugh that reverberated through his chest plates. "Next they'll offer us permission to breathe." The bridge crew joined in his laughter, the sound like grinding stones. "Admiral," Lyra spoke up, her tone analytical rather than amused. "This marks their 7th diplomatic overture in as many days. The pattern is unusual." "Unusual? It's desperation," Krell replied. "Their colonies fall one by one. Their ships retreat at every engagement. What else can they do but beg?" "Perhaps," Lyra said, though something in her tone suggested she wasn't entirely convinced. "But I've been analyzing their retreat patterns. There's a consistency to them that troubles me." Krell dismissed her concerns with a gesture. "You overthink, Lyra. Humans are simply predictable in their weakness. They lack our evolutionary advantages, our strength, our armor, our adaptability to the harsh conditions of space. They rely on their flimsy technology because their bodies fail them, and their technology is no match for Xylar might." Before Lyra could respond, the tactical officer called out, "Admiral, sensors detect a small convoy of human transport vessels entering the Cygnus Nebula." Krell turned his attention to the tactical display. 5 human ships, moderately sized, appeared as glowing markers against the nebula's swirling gases. "Identification," he demanded. "Standard human cargo vessels, Admiral. Minimal weapons signatures. Likely a logistics run to one of their remaining outposts." A predatory gleam appeared in Krell's eyes. "Perfect. Navigator, set intercept course. Weapons, prepare firing solutions." "Admiral," Lyra interjected, "these appear to be simple transport vessels, not military targets." Krell turned to her, his armored brow, plates shifting to express his disdain. "All human vessels are military targets, science officer. Or have you forgotten that we are at war?" He addressed the tactical officer again. "Scan for life signs. Approximately 50 human life signs per vessel, Admiral. Standard crew complement for ships of that size." "So few," Krell mused. "They'll make adequate laborers for the mining colonies. Those that survive, at least." He rose from his chair, towering over his subordinates. "Signal the battle group. We'll take these vessels intact if possible." I want prisoners and any resources they're carrying. As the Star Crusher changed course, heading toward the human convoy, Krell felt a familiar satisfaction. Another easy victory to add to his already impressive record. The humans never learned. Their fragile bodies and fragile ships were no match for Xylar superiority. "Time to intercept?" he asked. 20 minutes, Admiral." "Good. Prepare boarding parties." The Xylar warship, flanked by two smaller destroyer-class vessels, accelerated toward the unsuspecting human convoy, weapons primed and warriors eager for battle, however brief it might be. The human transport vessels maintained their course through the nebula, seemingly unaware of the approaching threat. Their formation was tight, almost too orderly for civilian vessels. "They've detected us," the tactical officer announced. "Human vessels are adjusting formation." "Deploying defensive measures?" Krell asked, somewhat hopefully. He preferred at least a token resistance to make the victory more satisfying. "Negative, Admiral. They appear to be tightening their formation further. No evasive maneuvers detected." Krell frowned. "Curious. Are they surrendering already?" "No transmission received, sir." "Open a channel," Krell ordered. When the communication officer nodded, he spoke with deliberate menace. "Human vessels. This is Admiral Krell of the Xylar Empire. Your ships are now property of the Empire. Deactivate your shields and prepare to be boarded. Resistance is futile, but encouraged." He added the last part with a cruel smile. Several moments passed with no response. "No acknowledgement, Admiral," the communication officer reported. "Very well. Fire warning shots across their bow." The Star Crusher's forward batteries released a barrage of energy pulses that streaked past the lead human vessel, close enough to be unmistakable as a threat. Still, the human ships maintained course, making no attempt to flee or return fire. "They're either fools or they're planning something," Vex muttered. "What could they possibly plan that would concern us?" Krell scoffed. "Target their engines and fire." The Xylar warship unleashed its weapons, energy beams striking the rearmost human transport. The vessel's shields flared briefly, absorbing some of the impact before failing. The transport listed slightly, but remained operational. "Again," Krell ordered. Another barrage hit the transport, this time causing visible damage to its hull. Yet still, the human vessels maintained formation, the damaged ship keeping pace despite trailing debris. "Admiral," Lyra called out, her tone urgent. "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the human vessels." "Weapons charging?" Krell asked, suddenly alert. "No, something else. Not consistent with any known human weapon system or engine configuration." Lyra's fingers moved rapidly over her console. "It's almost like a biological stasis system being deactivated." Biological stasis? Krell's brow plates shifted in confusion. "For what purpose?" Before Lyra could respond, the tactical officer interrupted. "Admiral, the human vessels are releasing some kind of particulate cloud." A swirling mass of microscopic particles erupted from the human transports, quickly expanding to engulf the area around them. The nebula's natural gases seemed to react with the particles, creating a dense, chaotic interference pattern. "Sensors are compromised," the tactical officer reported. "I can't get clear readings through this. Whatever it is, maintain visual tracking," Krell commanded. "Don't lose them in that cloud." "Sir, they're also deploying some kind of energy decoys." Multiple signature readings appearing all over the sector. Krell slammed his armored fist against his chair. "Enough of these tricks. Close to point-blank range and disable their engines. I want those ships intact." The Star Crusher surged forward, plunging into the particle cloud. Visibility dropped dramatically, both visual and sensor readings becoming unreliable. The bridge crew worked frantically to maintain target lock on the human vessels. "I have target lock on the largest transport," the weapons officer announced. Designation: Hope's Burden according to their registry. "Fire disabling shots," Krell ordered. "Then prepare boarding parties." The Xylar warship's weapons lanced out, striking the human transport with precision despite the interference. The Hope's Burden's engines flickered and died, the vessel coming to a relative stop in space. Direct hit. Their propulsion systems are offline, the tactical officer reported with satisfaction. The other transports? Krell demanded. Continuing on their course, Admiral. They appear to be abandoning their companion. Krell laughed. Typical human behavior. No loyalty, no honor. He turned to Vex. Prepare the boarding party. I want that ship secured and its cargo inventoried. Take prisoners if they surrender immediately. Otherwise, use your discretion. Yes, Admiral, Vex replied, selecting warriors from the tactical team. Within minutes, the boarding party was assembled and dispatched in an armored shuttle toward the disabled Hopesburden. As they waited for the boarding party to secure the vessel, Lyra continued to study her readings. Admiral, I'm still detecting those unusual energy signatures. They're fluctuating in a pattern that suggests deliberate modulation rather than system failure. What are you suggesting, Science Officer? Krell asked, irritation evident in his tone. I'm suggesting that the humans may have intentionally allowed their vessel to be disabled, Lyra replied. Krell scoffed. To what end? To become our prisoners more efficiently. I don't know, Lyra admitted. But this doesn't match any known human tactical profile. Your concern is noted, Krell said dismissively. Commander Vex, he called over the communication system. Status report. We've docked with the human vessel, Admiral. Vex's voice came through clearly. Cutting through their airlock now. Minimal resistance expected. Keep the channel open. I want to hear them beg for mercy, Krell ordered. The bridge crew listened as the sounds of the boarding party forcing entry came through the speakers. Then came the heavy footfalls of Xylar warriors entering the human ship. We're aboard, Vex reported. No resistance yet. The corridors appear deserted. Scan for life signs, Krell ordered. Scanning, detecting human life signs, but they're scattered throughout the ship. None in the immediate vicinity. There was a pause. Admiral, this ship's interior has been modified. The corridors are reinforced with some kind of high-density alloy I'm not familiar with. And there are large sealed compartments that don't appear on the standard schematic for this vessel class. Krell exchanged a glance with Lyra, whose expression remained carefully neutral. Proceed with caution, Commander, Krell instructed. What about the cargo? We're approaching one of the main cargo holds now, Vex replied. The door is sealed with... This isn't standard human technology, Admiral. It's some kind of composite material, much stronger than typical human engineering. The sound of cutting tools came through the communication system. We're breaking through now, Vex reported. Almost. Wait, something's happening. The door is... It's opening on its own. Suddenly, there was a cacophony of sounds, shouts of alarm from the Xylar warriors, the distinctive whine of energy weapons unlike any human armament they'd encountered before, and most disturbingly, the wet, organic sounds of Xylar armor being pierced and bodies falling. We're under attack, Vex shouted. They're not human. They're too fast, too strong. Fall back. Fall. His voice cut off with a gurgling sound that could only mean one thing. Commander Vex, Krell bellowed into the communication system. Report. There was no response, only the continuing sounds of combat, growing fainter as whatever was happening moved away from the communication device. Biosigns of the boarding party, Krell demanded. The tactical officer checked his readings, his expression grim. Fading rapidly, Admiral. They're being systematically eliminated. By what? Krell roared. What could possibly? Admiral, Lyra interrupted, her voice unnaturally calm. I'm detecting new energy signatures throughout the human fleet. The other vessels, their cargo bays are opening. On screen, Krell ordered. The view screen shifted to show the other human transports. As they watched, sections of the hull slid open, revealing launch bays that no cargo vessel should possess. From these bays emerged what at first appeared to be missiles. But as the visual magnified, Krell realized with shock that they were humanoid figures, each encased in formidable armor and propelled by personal thruster systems. What in the void are those? Vex whispered. Humans, Lyra replied, studying her readings. But enhanced. Biosigns indicate significant modifications. Cybernetic implants, genetic alterations. These aren't ordinary humans. Impossible, Krell breathed. Humans are fragile creatures. They can't survive the rigors of space combat without extensive protection. Evidently, Lyra said, they've found a way. The armored figures shot toward the Xylar vessels with astonishing speed, moving in perfect coordination. Some carried weapons that fired projectiles at velocities high enough to penetrate Xylar hull plating, something conventional human weapons couldn't achieve. Others wielded energy blades that glowed with an intensity that suggested they could cut through even Xylar armor. Battle stations, Krell roared. All weapons, fire at will. Destroy those things. The Starcrusher's weapon systems came alive, firing at the approaching figures. But the enhanced humans moved with preternatural agility, evading most shots. Those that did connect seemed to do minimal damage to their advanced armor. More of them, the tactical officer shouted. Emerging from the Hope's burden now, Krell turned to see armored figures pouring from the supposedly disabled transport, using their thrusters to propel themselves toward the Starcrusher. Seal all airlocks, Krell ordered. Prepare for boarding defense. But it was already too late. Explosions rocked the ship as the enhanced humans breached the hull at multiple points, creating their own entrances rather than using the airlocks. Internal sensors show multiple intruders, the tactical officer reported, panic evident in his voice despite Xylar discipline. They're moving through the ship at Admiral. They're moving faster than our security teams can respond. Deploy all warriors, Krell commanded. Protect the bridge at all costs. Alarms blared throughout the ship as the Xylar crew mobilized to repel the boarders. But reports from throughout the vessel painted a grim picture. The enhanced humans were cutting through Xylar warriors with frightening efficiency, their augmented strength and advanced weapons proving more than a match for the natural advantages of the Xylar. Admiral, Lyra said urgently, we're receiving distress signals from our escort vessels. They're under attack as well. On the tactical display, Krell watched in disbelief as one of his destroyer-class ships went dark, all systems failing simultaneously. The other was still fighting, but clearly losing ground as more and more enhanced humans breached its hull. This is impossible, Krell muttered. How could they hide such weapons? How could we not know? The same way predators hide in plain sight, Lyra replied. By making their prey underestimate them. The doors to the bridge suddenly buckled inward, the reinforced metal warping under some tremendous force. The bridge crew drew their weapons, moving to defensive positions around Krell. With a final groan of protesting metal, the doors gave way. Through the opening stepped a figure that, despite the advanced armor, was unmistakably female in form. The armor was matte black with subtle blue energy lines tracing complex patterns across its surface. Where a human face should be visible was instead a featureless helmet with a reflective visor that showed the Xylar their own terrified expressions. Behind this leader came more armored figures, each moving with the fluid grace of apex predators. They dispatched the bridge security with ruthless efficiency. Energy blades slicing through Xylar armor, as if it were fabric, focused pulse weapons finding the gaps in natural plating. Krell roared in defiance and charged the leader, his massive frame propelled by rage and disbelief. He was the pride of the Xylar military, undefeated in personal combat for decades. No human, enhanced or not, could stand against him. The female figure waited until the last moment, then moved with impossible speed. She sidestepped Krell's charge, one armored hand shooting out to grasp his arm. Using his own momentum against him, she pivoted and slammed the Admiral into the deck, plating with enough force to crack both the floor and several of Krell's armor plates. Before he could recover, she placed one foot on his chest, pinning him with strength that no natural human could possess. In her hand appeared an energy blade, its edge hovering just above Krell's throat. Admiral Krell. The figure spoke, her voice slightly distorted by her helmet systems, but unmistakably calm and controlled. I am Commander Anya Sharma of the United Earth Federation's Olympus Project. Your ship is now under our control. Your fleet is being systematically neutralized. The war, as you have known it, is over. Krell struggled against her hold, but found himself unable to budge the armored foot. What? What are you? He managed to ask. The helmet reconfigured, the visor retracting to reveal a human face. Female, with dark eyes that held no mercy and scars that suggested she had seen combat even before whatever transformation had made her what she now was. Most disturbing were the visible cybernetic implants at her temples and jaw, suggesting that her enhancements went far beyond mere armor. "We are Spartans," she replied. "Humanity's answer to extinction. And you, Admiral, are now our prisoner of war." Around the bridge, Krell's crew had been subdued or killed. Only Lyra remained relatively unharmed, her hands raised in surrender, her analytical mind already processing the implications of what she was witnessing. Sharma gestured, and two other Spartans hauled Krell to his feet, restraining him with bonds that even his Xylar strength couldn't break. "Secure the ship," Sharma ordered her team. "Neutralize any remaining resistance." "Commander Lyra," she addressed the science officer directly, "you will assist us in accessing the ship's communication systems. We have a message to deliver to your empire." Within the hour, the Star Crusher's command systems had been fully taken over by the Spartans. Throughout the ship, pockets of Xylar resistance had been eliminated with surgical precision. The few survivors, mostly non-combat personnel, were secured in the ship's own brig. On the bridge, now manned by a combination of Spartans and a few specialized human operators who had arrived from the transports, Commander Sharma stood before the main communication array. Beside her, Krell and Lyra were positioned to be visible in the transmission. "We're ready to broadcast on all Xylar frequencies," one of the human operators announced. "The encryption has been broken. They'll receive this across their entire command network." Sharma nodded. "Begin transmission." The communication system hummed to life, and Sharma addressed the camera with the same calm control she had shown throughout the operation. "This is Commander Anya Sharma of the United Earth Federation's Olympus Project. I am broadcasting from the bridge of the Xylar warship Star Crusher, which is now under human control. With me are Admiral Krell and Science Officer Lyra." She gestured to the captured Xylar officers before continuing. "For the past 3 years, you have waged war against humanity, believing us to be weak, fragile creatures unfit for the rigors of space warfare. You have attacked our colonies, destroyed our ships, and enslaved our people. You believed our diplomatic overtures and strategic retreats were signs of weakness and fear." Sharma's expression hardened. "You were deceived, deliberately and meticulously deceived." She nodded to one of her officers, who activated a secondary screen. The display showed real-time footage from dozens of locations throughout Xylar-controlled space. Military bases, shipyards, command centers, all under simultaneous attack by Spartan forces. The precision and effectiveness of the attacks were undeniable, with Xylar forces falling in droves before the enhanced human warriors. What you are witnessing is Operation Nemesis, the culmination of humanity's true response to your aggression. While we engaged in apparent retreat and ineffectual diplomacy, we were developing the Olympus Project, creating Spartan soldiers through a combination of genetic engineering, cybernetic enhancement, and psychological conditioning. The footage continued, showing more Spartans emerging from seemingly innocuous human vessels throughout Xylar space. The same strategy that had been used to capture the Star Crusher, now revealed to be part of a coordinated, galaxy-wide offensive. Every diplomatic mission carried Spartan units in disguised compartments. Every retreating fleet left behind stealth platforms with dormant Spartans. Every refugee ship you so graciously allowed to flee contained the seeds of your defeat. Sharma turned to Krell, whose expression was a mixture of rage and dawning horror. Admiral Krell believed humans too fragile for effective space combat without cumbersome protection. He was correct about ordinary humans, but Spartans are humanity evolved for war. Our enhanced musculature can match Xylar strength. Our reinforced skeletal structures can withstand the stresses of space combat. Our neural interfaces allow reaction times that surpass even your naturally armored reflexes. She turned back to the camera. At this moment, Spartan forces have seized control of 73% of your major military installations. Your fleet command structure has been decapitated. Your shipyards are burning. Your communication networks are compromised. Sharma's voice remained level, but there was an undercurrent of steel that made her next words all the more chilling. The United Earth Federation now presents the following terms to the Xylar Empire: immediate and unconditional cessation of all hostilities, complete withdrawal from all human territories and established buffer zones, recognition of United Earth Federation sovereignty over all previously contested regions, commencement of war reparation negotiations under the supervision of the Galactic Council. She paused, letting the demands sink in. Refusal or delay will result in the continued deployment of Spartan forces against increasingly civilian targets. You have 6 hours to respond through the channels now being transmitted to your remaining command centers. Sharma nodded, and the operator cut the main transmission, though the channel remained open for Xylar responses. Krell, despite his restraints, managed to muster some of his former arrogance. Your Spartans may have achieved surprise, but the Xylar Empire spans hundreds of worlds. We have millions of warriors. Your enhanced soldiers are impressive, but they cannot stand against the full might of the Empire once mobilized. Sharma turned to him, her expression unchanged. You still don't understand, Admiral. This isn't a single battle or even a campaign. This is the revelation of a strategy years in the making. Your empire isn't facing a few thousand Spartans. It's facing a fundamental shift in the balance of power. She activated another display, showing technical schematics of Spartan production facilities hidden in supposedly abandoned human colonies and asteroid bases. For every Spartan you see today, 10 more are in final preparation. For every facility you might discover, 3 more remain hidden. The war, as you understood, it ended the moment you believed humans too fragile to fight effectively in space. Lyra, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke. The strategic implications are catastrophic for the Empire. Our entire military doctrine is based on the biological superiority of Xylar warriors. If humans can negate that advantage, she left the conclusion unspoken. Precisely, Commander Lyra, Sharma acknowledged, which is why the rational choice for your leadership is to accept our terms. Over the next several hours, reports continued to flow in from across Xylar space. The Spartan offensive had achieved precisely the objectives Sharma had outlined, with minimal losses on the human side. The Xylar military, caught completely unprepared for this type of enemy, was in disarray. For hours and 17 minutes after Sharma's ultimatum, the first response came from the Xylar High Command, a request for extended negotiations and a temporary ceasefire. Sharma, after consultation with Earth Command through secure channels, granted a 12-hour extension but refused to halt ongoing Spartan operations until formal acceptance of the initial terms. As the Spartans consolidated their control of the Star Crusher, Sharma had Krell brought to what had been his ready room, now serving as her temporary headquarters. Lyra was already there, providing technical assistance to the human operators working to integrate their systems with the Xylar technology. Your empire is fracturing, Admiral, Sharma informed him without preamble. We're intercepting communications between your regional commanders. Some are advocating immediate surrender. Others are proposing a scorched earth resistance. A few are even suggesting abandoning the empire entirely and establishing independent territories. Krell's eyes narrowed. You expect me to help you further subjugate my people. I expect you to help prevent unnecessary bloodshed, Sharma countered. The outcome is inevitable now. The only variable is how many more Xylar die before your leadership accepts reality. And what reality is that? Krell demanded. That humans have become the very monsters they claim to abhor? Look at you. You've sacrificed your humanity to become living weapons. For the first time, something like emotion flickered across Sharma's face. We sacrifice pieces of our humanity to preserve humanity as a whole. A distinction I doubt you can appreciate. She stood and moved to the viewport, looking out at the stars and the distant flashes of ongoing combat. Every Spartan is a volunteer, Admiral. We knew what we were giving up. I was a physician before the war, dedicated to healing. Now I command what might be the most effective killing force ever created. The irony isn't lost on me. Yet you proceeded anyway, Krell observed. Because the alternative was extinction, Sharma replied simply. Your forces showed no mercy to civilian targets. Your emperor declared humanity a species unworthy of galactic citizenship. What choice did we have but to evolve, artificially and painfully, into something that could survive? Lyra, who had been listening while continuing her work, spoke up. The philosophical implications are fascinating. You've essentially created a new subspecies of human, one specifically adapted for warfare against us. A subspecies that shouldn't need to exist once peace is established, Sharma said, turning back to them. That's part of the tragedy. Spartans are weapons, and weapons eventually become obsolete or are decommissioned. What happens to your Spartans when the war ends? Lyra asked, genuine curiosity in her voice. Sharma's expression grew distant. That's a question many of us ask ourselves in the quiet moments between battles. Some hope for reversal of our modifications, though the process may be impossible. Others speak of establishing colonies in harsh environments where our enhancements would be beneficial. Still others believe we'll be needed indefinitely as humanity's guardians. She refocused on Krell. But that's a problem for after your empire surrenders. Which brings me back to my point. I need you to communicate with your remaining leadership. Convince them that continued resistance is both futile and unnecessarily costly. Krell was silent for a long moment, the proud warrior warring with the pragmatic commander in his mind. Finally, he spoke. I will speak to them, not to advocate surrender, but to verify what I have witnessed. They should know the truth about what they face. That's a start, Sharma acknowledged. Just then, a Spartan officer entered the ready room. Commander, we've received a priority transmission from Earth Command. The Xylar Central Authority is requesting a neutral meeting ground for formal negotiations. They're sending a diplomatic vessel to the Arcturus system. Sharma nodded. Prepare the Star Crusher for immediate departure. We'll escort Admiral Krell and Commander Lyra to the negotiations. She turned to the Xylar officers. It seems your leadership has chosen the path of reason. As preparations were made for the journey to Arcturus, Sharma found herself alone on the observation deck, looking out at the nebula that had been the site of their ambush. One of her senior Spartans, Major Caden, joined her. Quite a view, he commented, his own armor showing the marks of recent combat. Hard to believe that less than a day ago, we were still hiding in stasis pods on those transports. Hard to believe that 3 years ago, I was performing surgery in a civilian hospital on Mars, Sharma replied. Life takes unexpected turns. Do you think they'll honor whatever agreement comes from these negotiations? Caden asked. They'll have little choice. We've demonstrated our capability and our resolve. The balance of power has shifted permanently. Caden was quiet for a moment. And after? What becomes of us, Commander? Sharma turned to look at her fellow Spartan. Beneath their enhancements and augmentations, they were still human, still capable of uncertainty and fear for the future. I don't know, she admitted. We were created for war against an enemy that believed humans too fragile for space combat. We proved them wrong, but in doing so, we separated ourselves from the very humanity we fought to protect. We're neither fully human nor fully machine. A bridge between worlds, perhaps, Caden suggested. Maybe that's our true purpose, not just to win this war, but to help forge a new understanding between species, to show that adaptation and evolution can take many forms. Sharma considered this. Perhaps, or maybe we're simply the price humanity was willing to pay for survival, a sacrifice to the god of war. A cheerful thought, Caden said with a grim laugh. Commander Sharma, to the bridge, came a call over the communication system. We're ready to depart for Arcturus. As they walked together toward the bridge, Sharma felt the weight of command, not just of her Spartan forces, but of the future they were helping to create. They had unleashed something profound upon the galaxy, the revelation that humanity, when pushed to the brink, was capable of transforming itself into something that even the mighty Xylar had reason to fear. The Star Crusher, now under human control, began its journey to Arcturus, carrying Krell and Lyra as both prisoners and reluctant diplomats. In the ship's brig, the surviving Xylar crew contemplated a future they had never imagined, one where humans were not the fragile, easily conquered species they had been led to believe. And throughout Xylar space, Spartan forces continued their calculated campaign of strategic pressure, ensuring that the Empire understood the consequences of refusing peace. As the ship entered FDL travel, Sharma returned to her quarters, formerly Krell's, and removed her helmet. Her reflection in the mirror showed a face marked by scars both surgical and combat earned, cybernetic implants visible at her temples and along her jawline. Her eyes, once warm and compassionate as befitted a physician, now held the cool calculation of a commander. "We've won," she told her reflection. "But at what cost?" The reflection offered no answer, and Sharma didn't expect one. That was a question for historians and philosophers to debate in the years to come. For now, she had a peace to secure and a future to help shape. A future where humans would never again be underestimated or thought too fragile for the harsh realities of a universe filled with predators. She replaced her helmet, the systems syncing automatically with her neural implants, and returned to her duties. The galaxy had changed forever, and she had played her part in that transformation, for better or worse. The Xylar had thought humans too fragile for space warfare. They would not make that mistake again.